Now, our next group policy preference we want to take a look at has to do with printers. And you'll see the printers down here under Control Panel Settings, where you can go about configuring up either a local printer or a TCP/IP printer to machines that receive this GPO. Now, one of the interesting things, however, about local printers, you probably won't find yourself using them all that often, in part because in order to do a local printer, you can see here that the port required needs to correspond to one of the ports that probably exists on that machine. And unless you have a situation where you can perhaps guarantee that that printer is on that port, you may not find yourself globally distributing out all of these printer settings to machines everywhere. Instead, what most situations or what most organizations do is they use network printers to consolidate printers into a single location. And so those TCP/IP printers, which you can see right here, are for most of us the actuality of how we get people connected up to their printers. Let's say, for example, I have a printer here on my network, 192.168.0.3. And that printer, let's just call it the first floor printer. And to make things easy on myself, I've actually made that printer available here in Active Directory. So I've shared it to Active Directory from the print server where it exists. So if I click the little ellipses here, you'll see there's my first floor printer, which is hosted on this machine DC. And if I hit OK, this allows me to then configure that as the printer I'm going to attach when the machine receives this GPO. Now, one thing you should notice here that exists in different locations and for different kinds of preferences are these additional tabs that provide further configuration for the experience you're trying to create. In our case here, we have some port settings, the things that you would normally configure when you're attaching up a printer. But for every one of these, for every single preference item, over here in the common item is where all of those traditional common configurations are going to exist. So you'll always see this common tab over here to the right. Once we're ready, we can hit the OK button here, and that actually configures up this printer to connect whatever machine receives this GPO to that first floor printer at 192.168.0.3.